astute business leader and passionate motorhead, Mr. Vinkesh Gulati has been actively associated with FADA for over 12 years. As chairman, academy and research, and a key member in the FADA executive committee, Mr. Gulati has helped FADA reach newer heights. A law graduate with a master's in commerce and business administration, Mr. Gulati heads United Automobiles, which has state-of-the-art dealership of Mahindra and Bajaj Auto. He is also the senior vice president of United Group and manages educational institutions in Prayagraj and Greater Noida. He holds a key position in the Mahindra Dealership Council and serves as vice president for the Automotive Skills Development Council. He is also a member of National Executive Body of Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI. A passionate and hands-on leader, Mr. Gulati believes strongly in nurturing and developing manpower as a vital aspect of his businesses. His extensive experience in business planning, analytical approach to problems, and dedication towards the automobile community is ensuring that FADA breaks newer grounds and flourishes under his team as president during 2020 to 2022. A huge round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for the next set of guests, we have Mr. Arindam Lahiri, CEO, ASDC. A passionate professional with career spanning 3 decades. The initial decade was spent in manufacturing sector, followed by 2 decades of experience across all domains of education and training. He started his career with Maruti Udyog, received global exposure at Honeywell Inc. USA, and has an entrepreneurial stint as director and co-founder at Career Launcher India. His last assignment was this education division of HT Media Limited. He also is currently on the advisory board for startups, educational institutions, and policy review committees of state and central government ministries. Mr. Lahiri has done his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Jadavpur University and completed his postgrad diploma in marketing and operations from IIM Lucknow. They'll be leading a fireside chat on automotive skilling. So over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. It's been a very eventful day. I don't know how many people are still interested to listen to us, but it's a job here. And I feel the most important issue today at the dealership is the manpower recruitment, attrition, skilling, problem of how to handle the growth today. I don't know, many must have read a news where they said that so many vehicles, electric vehicles in market, but no technicians to serve it. Not the right message what that news agency gave, because there are people, but yes, the gap is huge. And I'm, like you all know, Automotive Skill Development Council is a skill council who handles automotive. Its duty is from component manufacturers, OEM manufacturers, and us dealers, and even aftermarket people. So all our duty towards that is. But I feel I'll not represent ASDC on this stage, though I am a vice president. I'll let Arindam do that job. I'll be on the opposite side and become a critique that ASDC. What is ASDC doing for us? I'll try to be on the loggerheads from it. So welcome Arindam here. And
thank you.
We all know manpower, we are always recruiting them, we are always short for them, we are always poaching them. Even we know that's not the right thing to do, but still with the kind of pressure of we are doing it. So we'll try to understand in this whatever 30 minutes we have got, how can ASDC help in our growing need of manpower and enhancing the productivity of manpower. So over to you, Arindam, for a short note.
Yep. Thank you. And thank you, FADA, for having me here today and scheduling a session on skilling, which is, of course, a very critical area of work across the entire automotive value chain, more so at the dealership, because the largest number of people that get employed within the automotive segment is at the dealerships, and this is also an opportunity where people can get employed in their own locality, in their the place that they belong to. Most of the other jobs in the plants are dependent on where the plants are. So if you are from a district or a state where you don't have an automotive manufacturing operation, then you can't really work there because you will have to move to where it is, where there is one. So it's a very unique proposition, and at ASTC, one of our major focus area is to look at the entire basket of programs that we can deliver for the dealership network. Let me just clarify, because a lot of times ASTC is considered to be a training or delivery organization, which it is actually not. It's just a apex administrative body for skill development initiatives in the automotive space. Our role starts with creation of the right kind of curriculum content for the various training programs, which are developed in consultation and validation from industry members. Then we look at how to support the infrastructure for delivering that training program with various partners that we have, which means, do they have the right kind of infrastructure available to deliver the program, the hard infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, and also the soft infrastructure, which is in terms of the quality of trainers that we need to have in order to deliver a training program. And finally, we also are authorized, or we are affiliated by the national regulator, the National Council for Vocational Education and Training, to give certificates of our programs, which are not only government recognized, but are also credit-based. And with the new policy changes in the space of education and skilling, with the National Education Policy NEP 2020 coming in and the National Credit Framework Policy in place now, the requirement for a credit-based learning will only go up, and we are right now in the transition phase. So our focus at ASTC is to ensure that we become a significant enabler to that whole ecosystem of skilling, and actually have accredited, affiliated training providers, training partners, whether it is at ITIs, whether it is at educational institutes like diploma or degree colleges, at schools, or at standalone training centers. Other major initiative, of course, for us is how do we engage with the industry to have industry-based training centers. And this is a reasonably new initiative that we have taken in the last couple of years post-COVID. And we are very happy to see that some of the progress we have made with a few of the partners. Now the challenge is, how do we scale this up? Because if that is created, I think we will have a very, very sustainable supply chain of skilled human resources for our requirement. And then not only for our requirement, but in fact today, across the world, there is a huge shortage of skilled manpower. And India is being looked up to in terms of how we can provide skilled manpower to the requirements of the world as well. So this is a huge opportunity. And at dealerships, if we can start looking at, helping you with having a supply chain of skilled manpower coming in, whether at your own training center or in partnership. I think Manishi was talking about today in the inaugural session about partnering with ITIs, etc. How do you partner with academic institutions or training institutions to ensure you have a constant feed of skilled manpower, not only for your requirement, but also for the requirement of the larger ecosystem in the ecosystem that you work. Today, we just had a session on registered vehicle scrapping facility. Now, today, there is an issue of capacity utilization of those facilities. But tomorrow, once these kind of settle down and stabilize, I think the next big challenge that the RVSFs will have is where to get the manpower who could run these centers. And unless we can get started on that today itself, I think it will be quite challenging. But I'll stop here. Maybe I'll take some specific questions from you.
So thanks, Arindam, for briefing what ASDC is. But it means that we can't go to you if we need manpower today.
Sorry?
It means that we can't go to you if we need manpower today.
No, you can. But only thing is that we will not give you a ready manpower which is sitting in my office or anywhere else. But we need to work with your requirements with the relevant training centers, which may be there, may not be there today in terms of capacity. Because the skilling ecosystem is fairly new in the entire country. We have had huge capacity available for, let's say, graduation, graduate engineers. But graduate engineers are not the ones who would be working in this kind of an environment. You need skilled technician, salespeople who would need to work in the dealership. How do you get those alignments? We are doing a very interesting project in UP, for instance, with Toyota, for their rural dealerships, of getting sales manpower. And we tried going to technical institutions to bring those people into sales process. And the experiment wasn't very successful. So we've shifted gears and we are working with now degree colleges. Now when you go to degree college, the whole orientation of having a specific career is just not there. Neither with the institution nor with the participants in that institution. So there is a lot of background work we need to do. And that is something which we will continue to do, which we don't expect you to do because that won't be part of your dealership effort. But yes, if dealerships are supporting those initiatives, then it makes it more effective in terms of what we are trying to do.
So there is something called placement tab on your website. Does it work?
Yeah. So we have a requirement that can be given to us on the placement. We currently have been experimenting with the various government portals. Right now, NSDC in the Skill India digital portal has a portal called JobX. This is available as part of the Skill India digital, which is a government portal. And the JobX platform is used to source candidates. We have started posting job opportunities currently for dealerships as well. And we've started getting applications. But again, this segment is not very, I would say, digital savvy in terms of that process. And therefore, it still needs a lot of manual intervention of reaching out to training providers to source the right candidates, and which we may not always be very successful given the footprint we have today.
But for trial, whosoever dealers are sitting here, ASDC has a tab named placements. Do go in, put your requirement. There is a team behind which is working. I know today we don't have that
online linkage.
No, what I'm saying, we don't have that kind of manpower what you want, but slowly and steadily our team is trying to develop that process that whichever people have passed out for the last year. Because see, what ASDC does is not that every day there are 100 people who are moving out in the system. So there is a proper course which is covered, and when it is over, then only they can go for placement. But there are people who have been trained and placed in the last 2 years who are still in contact with us. I had tried it, not very successful, but still I got some manpower through it. It's in a nascent stage, we are just developing it, and the current president, FR Singhvi San, is bent upon to make it successful. We need your support. Any dealer who wants it, just ask your HR to go and give the details like job responsibility, what is the salary level and all. And our team will get in touch with you and try what best we can do for an initial phase. But obviously, long run phase is what ASDC is trying to work on. Am I right?
Yeah. So For instance, we work with one OEM for its dealer network, and we've just set up 12 centers. Now, 12 centers doesn't make any huge difference. These 12 centers together has a capacity to churn out about 960 people in a year, about 80 people each center each year for their technicians. But I am very delighted to share with you that almost 90% of those people who come out of it are going into the dealerships of that OEM. In fact, we were thinking that we will have a two-day placement process, where first day the dealers of that OEM gets a preference because they have taken the lead in terms of setting up these centers. And the second day, we will call the other OEM brand dealers in that region to come and do the placement. But over the last 1 year, we have not had the second day because the current OEM dealerships in those locations were needing those kind of people, and they need more. We were unable to supply more because the capacity was only that much. So I think if we have more and more such interventions where there is a very dedicated attachment of a few centers with a few dealers, there can be a constant pool which can be created and which can go into those dealerships.
So what are the OEMs that you have these centers?
So right now we are very actively working with Hero in two-wheelers and Toyota in four-wheeler segment. With the commercial vehicle, we are now discussing with Volvo Eicher for their centers. We recently started a center at Royal Enfield, and we're looking for more centers now, how to go ahead with that. Bajaj, we are looking at one center as a pilot to get started in Chhindwara. And so we are also reaching out to all the OEMs to see how they can learn from this model and pick it up as a model for engagement. So these centers are actually set up in different geographies, and different set of dealerships in that region get aligned to it.
So if a Hero dealer sitting here wants to set up a center, can you help it out with that?
Yeah, we have a very fixed bill of material from Hero itself with the vendors specified. In fact, to start with, if you are a Hero dealer, you would already have most of those equipments maybe, and those can be used. All you need is basically something like a 400 to 500 square feet of space for a classroom purpose, which you can figure out in your dealership space.
So as of now, how many dealers are active in this training space with ASDC?
So,
are there any?
Yeah, the numbers keep going a little up and down because some of them become active, then they go a little, inactive. But right now, I believe about 15 different locations, we have active dealership centers, which are very regularly churning out manpower, not only for their own requirements, but also for the requirements of their, neighborhood dealerships as well. And the good thing is that I have heard from many of them is that their own attrition levels have also become fairly controlled, because the kind of manpower they are getting in is trained manpower vis-a-vis completely raw, untrained manpower coming in and then going out. So that also has a cost, while we do not calculate that cost directly.
So if a dealer wants to open a training center, what support can ASDC give, and what's the process like?
So typically the way we look at it is that if there is a space identified for a classroom and there is one person identified within the dealership as a dedicated resource to take charge of the training center, who could be a trainer or who could be just an administrator, depending on what profile they have in their dealership, I think that can be the starting point of a dealership, because we have the course outline, we have the content available, we have the support system for helping them and finding out trainers if they want to deploy trainers. But most of the time the dealership has supervisory staff who could actually spend a couple of hours in the morning to do the training, and then kind of allow the student to get a real practical exposure in the floor itself. And that is a model which is the fastest to grow. Now, once you get success with that, you may want to have a fairly dedicated training center, and you can expand capacity if you need more capacity of manpower. But this capacity will be good enough to do anywhere between 50 to 100 people in a dealership in a year.
Great. So basically, training, trainers, curriculum, management, skilling, certificate.
Hand-holding to do the first few batches of mobilization, where to go, how to pitch for it. If you need any help with the creatives to reach out to people in the government schools, local ITIs, etc., how to reach out to them, we can help that.
So even tying up with local ITIs and all that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's great. So,
Yeah.
so it means at least for future we can secure if we have some type with ASDC.
Complete hand-holding support. And we've done that with a few of FADA members, dealers who had reached out to us. And so, you can start with your own funds itself. There is not a very significant amount of funds that will be required for this training. But yes, if you want to increase the capacity, you could either utilize your own CSR funds to do that, or one could also look at getting support from the various government schemes where funding may be available. And even there, ASDC could help you with that support, depending on the availability of those funds at that point in time.
So which are the governments which are supporting this? And
so there are some central government schemes, which is Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. There is Ministry of Rural Development, which does a very flagship program on skilling, which is residential in nature. Plus, almost every state has it, but the large, I would say about 15 odd states are more active as far as skilling is concerned, which are typically the large industrialized states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, etc. There are some of the supply states like Jharkhand, Bihar, etc., who are available. Delhi typically doesn't spend much money on skilling, but we can look at it. I mean, there could be other modes of funding that we could look at. Yeah.
So basically, technician, what kinds of courses you support, and what kind of post, I'll say, the designation?
So technician, we start right from helper technician kind of a role, which we call as an assistant role. Then we have technician role, and then we have lead technician role, which is slightly more complicated diagnostics, etc. So an assistant is somebody who could just be doing the very, very basic routine inspection and servicing. When you go to a technician, he will be able to do the routine servicing and some minor repairs and replacements. And if you go to a lead technician kind of a program, they will be able to do some of the major repairs as well as run some of the diagnostics to do it. We also have separate programs for electric vehicles. Should the dealership also have a requirement of electric vehicles. We also have very specific courses like courses on CNG, courses on engine technician, courses on AC technician, courses on automotive electrical systems, only the electricals part of it. These are like specialized programs on top of regular service technician program.
I feel my questions are over. If you have something to add, or I'll be open.
I just wanted to add one more thing in terms of engagement with the education and the skilled institution system around your dealership. See, whatever service you are providing, you have a certain number of partners that you have. If you are providing insurance, if you are providing loans, you have partners for that. Now, for the manpower that you need, because through that manpower you are providing certain service, which is either sales or service, you need some partners. And at ASDC, we can help you connect with some of those partners in your geography, in your locality. And I would strongly urge each one of you to look at this. If you can do it yourself, great. If you need our help, we are always there. So, but important is that you must have a supply source identified of where your skilled manpower is going to come from. If you are just hoping that some people will turn up, it's not going to be like that. I mean, even for the great IT story, the Infosys and the TCSs of the world has had a very strong supply pipeline with a number of institutions that they have gone year after year, engaged regularly with them, and then they have been able to build that supply pool of manpower for themselves. So unless you kind of engage with that training institution network, it will just not come. The manpower will otherwise only get poached between different dealerships. And that will only add to the cost of operation. It's an inefficient way of doing things. And that is how I think we need to make that shift wherever possible.
So, guys, open to question from you all. If anything, please raise your hand. Can I have some mic here?
Ram, before handing it over to you, I have a comment, not a question. We started off our journey with ASDC about a couple of years ago, and it's been quite enriching. I think we already done about 7-8 batches right now, and 60 to 70% of the guys who are going through this have been recruited by ourselves. Otherwise, what happens is we need to go out, scout for people, and as Arindam told, we spend on their training. At the end of the day, they leave us. Here, pretty much, they come and they volunteer to be trained. They're committed, therefore. They're committing themselves also by giving us some money. So, therefore, the cost of training, whole cost of training is not on the company. And it's been phenomenal. Right now, thanks to SDC, we've also been given the body and paint certification, and therefore, the training is going to happen. We also started off in our Aisha business. The previous one I was talking about, my Toyota business. In our Aisha business, we are again starting off a center. And my team has also come back to me and said, sir, let's start off a center for two-wheelers. Although our two-wheeler business within our group is very small, we saw a lot of articles, and we also realized that a lot of opportunities are existing in two-wheelers to actually churn out technicians, qualified, trained, certified technicians. So I think it's a great initiative, and thank you so much for working with us.
Thank you. Fully with you, Mr. Vigneshwar. I think almost, and this is a question to Arindam, and probably both of you are there, so you have to take it to each other. 20 years back, when I was with Bosch, I heard that FADA is coming up with its own, that time I'll tell you, when NSDC, SDC was not so great, just upcoming. And I was working with Bosch on this technician ecosystem. FADA was very clear that they will build their own academy, and they will have continuous flow of manpower. Now, after ASDC coming in, it should have been even better. So I'm really worried and surprised that what is missing so that kind of revolution has not happened. I'm not talking about independent aftermarket. That's a separate, that's unorganized. But this is very organized. And what I was thinking, rather than do you have a list from all the dealers? I think we have the database. Do you get that, okay, they need so much manpower, some kind of a manpower planning. They need a manpower in this month. See, you need 8 to 9 months at least gestation period. So do they give you, forget placement, which is immediate. If it is there, it's okay. But some kind of roadmap do you get from dealers across the country that they need so much of technicians, so much of sales consultant, whatever, for the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. And if you get it, then why you don't prepare them? And if you don't get it, then maybe the question goes to Vinkesh, that why don't they get it to you?
So Ramashankarji, thank you pointing out. We did start the FADA Institute of Marketing and Research 20 years back, you're right. We tried then, but I feel there were a lot of other fires to extinguish than manpower at that time. As FADA was still struggling and the government wasn't very receptive. With the great leaders sitting here who had brought FADA to today's level that we are able to give more time towards the manpower, academy, training, research. And yes, we are too late. We are very, very late as of now because talking about funnel, we don't have what we want today. Funnel is a very long way to say. So if you talk to any dealer, everybody is short-selfed. And except for poaching, we don't know how to manage that because keeping a fresher takes around 3 to 6 months to imbibe in the new process of sales or service or whatever. I take the responsibility of not being on time, but yes, with ASDC, we are thankful with people like you, Nikun-san, who has brought ASDC to a level. And now what we are trying to do as FAD Academy, I feel in a year or so, we'll not be taking this discussion because in that time, I am confident there'll be 100 more dealers who will be coming up with their training centers in their setup. Because see, we already have a training room. We already have a company trained engineer whose responsibility is to train our manpower regularly. Slowly and steadily, all OEMs have come with videos which technicians or the post holders can see. But this is only organized to our team. Now, with type of ASDC and FADA, we are trying that we should open up training centers in the same infra, zero cost, special focus, and then start developing people for our future. So I feel...
one action I think we can do from here, because you're so committed to this topic, is before the training center will come, because it takes time again, if you can just mandate it, that every dealer will tell 20% of their workforce or whatever percentage, and give it to ASDC, I think we can take a caller in them, and we can actually then do a MOU with that much manpower we'll give you. It's guaranteed from our side. Supply side is not a problem. We'll create it. How to organize training and all, I think ASDC is expert in that. But get the concrete demand that every dealer give in writing that so many manpower they're going to take in this portfolio will be a good start.
No, I think that itself is a good support. But at the same time, what happens is that you need quality training infrastructure to be available. And when I say infrastructure, one is the physical infrastructure. The second is the software infrastructure, which is trainer infrastructure. So both of these are available at many of the dealerships. Not every dealership has to do it. A few dealerships can take this mandate, and it will help the entire dealership ecosystem around that geography, essentially. Because with the academic institutions, you know, the biggest challenge is that the expectation, if you go to a degree college and diploma, people are not willing to come and work here. That is the main challenge that we have seen. Even with government-funded programs, what we have seen is people are willing to take the training. But when we offered them the job and interview, nobody wants to work. You know, so those are challenges which can go if they work in the real environment while they are getting trained. And that will benefit the whole system because their mindset will be changed to that level. Otherwise, in school, college, and training center, they're too protected. And when they come to the real one, they start to run away. That is the biggest challenge.
On your point, what we'll do, we'll find out top 5 posts where manpower is required. We'll share a Google form all across to our members and ask them to fill it in front of the post. Within 3 months, how many people you require, within 6, within 12, and their HR numbers and detail. So we'll collate that data and then let's work within that. Can we, what you are saying, that way. Sarsh, please help me in that. So we'll collect data and then come back. I know we'll not give a commitment that we'll be able to cover that. It's tough to say that.
Yeah, it's
but
not
I'll say
binding.
let's start.
It's just an intent kind of a thing.
So it's basically a skill gap or a gap of manpower needed for them. So we'll try to do something and then come with you. I know you are doing a lot of thing in this line and you can better help us in that thing. So any more questions?
For my dealership, if I want to start a training center, what does it take in terms of, or probably this discussion can be offline. you can share with other dealers.
So I'll be very frank, a 20 by 20 training room, one person dedicated. If he's a trainer, good. If he is not a trainer, we'll provide you a trainer. But obviously, we'll take some time. We don't have trained. We have a regular course which is train the trainer concept, which is working. We'll get a person to be hired there. But normally, every dealership has a technical manpower who can train it. Once you start that, then we'll handhold that manpower to train. So initially, what we'll expect that you should do the skill gap analysis of your manpower, get them handled through us, go through that process, and in that process, the message should go from your team that we have a training that if you come to your workshop for training, you will get employed in your dealership. Slowly and steadily, you will get influx of people. Initially not, because the first batch is the toughest, because people don't know that you have a training center, but slowly and steadily you will get an influx of people wanting to join in. And this you can do not for only technician, sales consultant, ICREs, any post. We have the capability to support you on all posts.
So you have the ready-made modules available for
Yeah, all ready-made modules, content, tests, everything.
And you don't need for us for also. Go to ASDC website, select what you want, sales, service, select sales, then go to what you want, calling, reception, host.
We have given you a booklet, in fact, today, which we have circulated and put it together.
I feel the kind of QPs we have, you don't have that kind of designation in your in our dealerships, because we have QPs for any damn thing we can think of. Even given hours, how many hours this chapter has to be taught, that working we do regularly. We are ready with supporting of the trainers also if you want. The initiation has to come from you with a thinking that whenever you come to ASDC, it's not instant. It's not 2 minutes Maggi noodles. You need time to nurture and then come out. And I can guarantee you 6 months or 1 year down the line, that will be an additional revenue business. I know at least 5 people who started ASDC for their own, and now they have become a training institute as a business all across India. And Vignesh is one, Popular is one, Aditya Patra.
He has just started and he is already completely into it.
So there are a lot of people who are doing it. So I feel time is up, but we are offline, we are sitting here, and obviously you know us well. We can come back to it. बोलने के बाद क्यों बजाया भाई?
Thank you so much for everybody who participated. It was great indeed. And thank you so much, Mr. Vinkesh Gulati ji and Mr. Arindam Lahiri ji. Now, before you leave the stage, I would request Mr. Manish Agarwal to kindly join us on the stage for the felicitation of Mr. Arindam Lahiri, sir. Why are we missing the interesting part of this conversation, the clap? Yes.